Hello everyone. We're essentially at the halfway point of our course, and I want to start out by recapping our class thus far. While the class is specific to the financial management of nonprofit organizations, I always bring us back to the questions of leadership. And what is the leader's role in managing the monies, so to speak? Being cognizant of not only the mission, but of the monies takes balance. And knowing basic financial concepts can mean a world of difference. We began by asking the question of how nonprofits are like and unlike business. And in many ways, they are similar, with the most important distinction being that nonprofits are tax exempt. Upon further review, some other unique features came into focus, such as the fact that nonprofits can take donations, they can be endowed, and they don't have purpose restrictions. From there, we took a look at the macro look at nonprofits, in that we looked at some of the bigger social and economic forces that shape the nonprofit organization, some of which were the idea of accountability and transparency, as well as policy issues such as laws that govern things like reporting financial statements. Over the past few modules, we entered the core of the course, which centers on the principles and skills of good financial management. Now, key to this was understanding the important financial statements for a nonprofit, including the balance sheet, statement of cash flow, the 990, giving, and controls. Foundational, of course, is the idea that financial statements are the best way to monitor and adjust how monies are received and spent, which ultimately affects the mission of the organization. Once we were introduced to these statements, we focused our attention to the specific ways to manage efficiently, and that was the focus on Module 5, where the subject was budgeting and cash flow management. Martin Luther King Jr. once said that a budget is a moral document. The idea that a budget should reflect the mission and values of the organization. And in the nonprofit world, this rings true. If there is not any vision, mission, and direction first, then a budget is just a best guess. Leaders must ensure that they understand the mission and vision of the nonprofit before any budgeting issues are discussed. Now, the responsibility of the budget begins with the board, as they set the overall policy direction. From there, the staff, usually the ED, Executive Director, or in a larger organization, the CFO, or Chief Financial Officer, prepares the budget for review, to which the board will approve, deny, or revise it. Now, once it's ratified, then the ED can implement the budget accordingly. When this is done, it's usually on an annual basis, but what's important is that this iterative dance is the communication between the board and staff on priorities, goals, and activities. Some things to also consider when budget writing is ensuring that there are checks and balances with how the budget is executed. For example, how much spending authority does the staff or the executive director have? Who will handle monies? Who is responsible for banking, etc.? Now, the text has good detail on the specific financial management tools and methods needed in budget preparation, such as fiscal analysis and line item considerations. I won't go into all that detail here, but the bottom line is that budgets should not be glossed over, and each line of the budget is important. It is here where nonprofit leaders generally tune out, but detail on every line is important. Precision and clarity are some of the most important skills to have in any budget writing process. Now, the same goes for our next area, cash flow. Details are important, and whether the accounting of the organization is a cash or accrual basis, ensuring and optimizing cash flow is a priority for leaders, as cash flow impacts the programming and activities of the organization. The important point here is that the ED should be aware and familiar for every revenue source, whether donations, grants, and other monies. the key to cash flow, and to a large extent budgeting, is monitoring. Keeping a watchful eye on the monies while keeping to the mission is the essence of financial management. Having regular checkups, that is, reports on a periodic basis, will help make this possible. Now next week, we'll delve into the IRS Form 990, which is the annual form required of all nonprofits. We'll analyze the form and, most importantly, learn how to leverage the form in a way that takes it from being seen as just another requirement to something that is an asset for the organization. At the end of the week is your second paper, the financial analysis paper. And we'll talk about that more as we begin the next module. But for now, post as you do, and I will see you all online.